on Facebook. Hi, welcome to Strut and Bellow. This is your place for inspiration, empowerment and promotion of women makers. I'm Melanie Clark-Pullen and welcome to my Friday shout out. Today I'm just gonna talk through a little bit about our recent show, which got sold out there last Sunday night at the Lyric Theatre in Belfast. We did the Vagina Monologues as part of the V-Day campaign, highlighting and campaigning to end domestic violence against women. It was a benefit performance for Women's Aid and also for the Spotlight campaign, Eve Ensler's own campaign. So it was a terrific night out. We had great fun. The audience was very warm and rooting for us, and we could really feel that as a cast. And I just really want to give a shout out to the team that made it happen. There's one of them on Instagram. Hi, Ellen. How you doing? It really was an amazing experience. How it came about was I am part of the Mothers Artists Makers movement. I was part of it down south. If you haven't come across Mothers Artists Makers, this basically, hi Mel, we basically started a couple of years ago. The whole Waking the Feminist movement happened in Dublin after in November 2015, when the Abbey Theatre, Ireland's national theatre, brought out its programme for the centenary year of 2016. It was the centenary of the Easter Rising. So it's a kind of a big year in the Irish cultural calendar. And the Abbey Theatre brought out its programme for the year in early November 2015. And not one of the writers was a woman. There was one piece included, but it was a piece of theatre for children, and it was kind of sidelined out of the main programme for the year. So the very wonderful Leanne Bell, who I interviewed on the podcast, if you go to the iTunes, you can listen to my conversation with her. She put her head above the parapet and basically said, I don't think this is right. This isn't okay. That such an important year doesn't have any reflection of the female experience in its theatre, in its national theatre. So that led to the Waking the Feminist meeting in the Abbey, where a number of different women sort of testified about how unhappy they were with this. And it was a really amazing time. And it was a lunchtime event in the Abbey Theatre. And I remember at the time I couldn't go because I had to pick up my boys at the time I had a 18-month-old and I can't remember, well, my littlest was just in school, and then I had an elder one as well, but I had a pickup at that lunchtime of Gabriel from school. So they were showing it on Periscope, and I was trying to watch it on Periscope and make pancakes for my children. And I was hugely frustrated that I wasn't able to engage with it properly when it was something that was so important to me, to my whole life, culturally, professionally, and also emotionally, as a woman in Ireland. So there was another meeting that came up in March, and that's when I launched Strut and Bellow as a podcast, and my very first interview was with Noni Stapleton. And I launched it on International Women's Day. There was another meeting at Liberty Hall Theatre in Dublin, and I managed to get my children looked after at that one so that I could actually go to it. And at that meeting, a woman called Tara Derrington, who's a theatre director that I vaguely knew, I'd met a couple of times but didn't know well, stood up at the question and answer session and said, look, there's a whole group of women missing from this conversation. And they're the mums, they're all at the school gates. She actually held a sign up at the previous meeting, where are all the disappeared women of Irish theatre? They're at the school gates. And it was incredibly, I was just like, yes, thank you for saying putting into words what I was feeling. So afterwards, I went up and introduced myself to her and to Fiona Brown and Charlotte Harrison, who were all kind of milling around talking. And we got together over a number of different weeks. I wasn't in all of the early meetings, but I got to a few of them. And the group Mothers, Artists, Makers was born. And honestly, it's the most empowering part of the whole Waking the Feminists movement, I think, because the whole idea of Mothers, Artists, Makers is to enable, to remind the theatre community and the arts community that mothers are still available for work. It's to provide opportunities for women who have taken time out to look after their families to get back into maybe practicing again after time away. It's to provide a space. We had these amazing, and they still go on, the Mums Cuppas, where mums and babies and toddlers can come together and just chat and just share the experience. And those have been incredibly powerful. And one of the key things that they did was in every theatre venue that they arranged to meet at, they would bring toys and they would leave a box of toys so that any mum could come to the theatre or the arts venue or whatever and look behind the desk and ask for the toy box for their children. Because this is the future of our country, right? So, if you want children to engage with their arts, and then you need to make the arts accessible to children, and the venues, not necessarily, well, child friendly, yes, but like at least to have a sense that, grown-ups with money aren't the only ones that these places are for, okay? So that was MAMS, and honestly, they've recently had a whole series of a couple of weeks called playgroup sessions where different MAMS in different areas, like in voice and movement, have taken workshops, and kids have been involved. And the most empowering part of it was in September 2016, we had a 6-week workshop and rehearsal period where we engaged in devising a piece for the Abbey stage, and we experimented with rehearsing and devising with children in the room, which was crazy. At the time, Rafi, my youngest, he was 2 and a bit, and I just spent most of the time carrying him around on my back in a sling. There was breastfed babies, toddlers, and then when the kids went back into school, and the bigger kids went back into school, we still had some babies and toddlers. But we were working in response to the play that was on at the time, which was Observe the Sons of Ulster Marching Towards the Somme. And we took that play and took different aspects of it, and we reimagined some of the scenes to be from the perspective of mothers. So very, very powerful scene in Observe the Sons is where one of the soldiers is on the Carrick-a-Reedy road bridge, and he's having a real meltdown, and he's having a complete panic attack about he can't go back to war, he doesn't want to keep moving forward. And we reinterpreted it as a mother really using exactly the same lines, but expressing that same terror that happens many of us with postnatal depression. So there were 21 women, mothers, on the stage in the Abbey. And at the very end, all of our children and our partners came and joined us on the stage. And honestly, it was, really, really powerful, really amazing. And it was a long held dream for me to work on the Abbey stage. I'd never managed to sort of kick down the door there in terms of getting work in the Abbey. So it was a really, really beautiful thing to be part of such a supportive group of women, a supportive group of mums, and to be on stage with them. So fast forward a couple of years, and I've moved up to Northern Ireland, to Belfast. And I'd sort of put out feelers for Belfast mums up here, because I would come up here for the summer with my children. And so just, the Facebook book group had happened, and it was a smaller community, so it was a little bit more sporadic, but there was definitely a community of moms here. So at the beginning of the year, knowing that it was the 20th anniversary of Eve Ensler's Vagina Monologues, and the whole 1 Billion Rising was going to be happening in February, and the license for the play was free to communities who wanted to do it, to raise money for local women's shelters, etc. I just went onto the Facebook page and said, anybody fancy doing the Vagina Monologues? Honestly, I had the idea, somebody will just, say, oh yeah, we're doing it, why don't you join in? But that didn't happen. So I ended up sort of being the person that had to organize it. And I can tell you that in the last number of weeks, I've had major imposter syndrome, because it's way out of my comfort zone. But what has been amazing was the ease with which it came about. The fact that because the community is quite small, lots of people know each other, lots of people know who to talk to go here, there, everywhere and stuff. And it really was an incredible collaborative effort. I was so honoured to have Jo Egan say yes to directing the show, because she's somebody I've respected for a long time. I met her 10 years ago in an artist development a couple of week fortnight down in Dublin. And yeah, when she said yes, I thought, yeah, this is good. And then being able to meet with Brona McFeely at the Lyric and her get behind us on it was really, really tremendous. And then it was a case of, well, how are we going to put this together? Now, most of our cast, there was lots of women expressed interest. We had a read through on a Saturday morning, and some people were able to be there, some people weren't. Most of our cast were our mums who are working other jobs to make a living, but who have had experience in theatre or who do bits and pieces. But having children makes it difficult, because this industry is just not in any way family friendly. But a powerful thing happened, just making the space to accommodate and be child friendly. It turned, we were planning on working during the day and allowing kids to come. That didn't happen, but we ended up working evenings. One of our actresses was having difficulty traveling because we've had people travel quite a distance as well. One couldn't make a lot of evenings, so our director was able to work with her during the day. The piece itself lent itself to us just going away and learning our stuff on our own, and coming and sort of working with it in the rehearsals. But essentially, we worked for 3 evenings a week for 2 or 3 weeks. We only had 2 days where we had the entire cast together. That was on the Wednesday night before the show, we had the full cast, and on the Sunday of the show, we had the full cast. And it is a credit to each one of those women that they just brought their A game to every rehearsal. Everybody rocked up, everybody brought their best self. And on the night, before we went on, we had a bit of a warm up and a dance off and stuff. And it was so emotional to me that these women, who all have other jobs, other lives, other children at home, partners supporting, partners working, gave up their time for free to come and do this. And I want to give a shout out to all of the cast and our director Jo, and to say thank you publicly for their tremendous work, because without them bringing so much of themselves, it just wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been as good. And the thing was that we had a full house, so there was a lot of expectation, and everybody rose to it. I personally, so relieved I got through my monologue, because I've been leading up to it. Even the dress rehearsal, I completely ballsed it up. And, you know, it has been a while since I've been on a stage and had to learn lines. And it's a tricky thing, learning a monologue and knowing, having the inner logic of it. Top of that, having the whole responsibility, the whole freaking thing in my head, on my head. So, yeah, it was seriously challenging. But I'm so grateful that we did it. And I think I really wanted to say, it's possible. It's absolutely possible to work as a parent in this industry if you have conditions that allow for it and conditions that support it. There is this kind of unspoken attitude, I believe, in the theatre community, which is, you know, oh, she's a mum, therefore she's not going to be reliable. And you know what? I don't think people think that about dads. People don't think twice about men who are fathers and getting them to work, because the assumption is that there is somebody at home looking after the kids. Whereas with women, the assumption is you're the one responsible for the child, therefore you are not going to be reliable and not going to be able, you're going to bail, you know. And yeah, sure, sometimes that happens, but that happens for men too. I remember being in an audition once for a theatre show, and there was all kinds of chat, and Nandy's asked me on Messenger, am I live? Yes, I'm live. I was in an audition, and I was asked, there was this chat, and you know, oh, you've got fat, you're up. It was, I think it was up here actually, and somebody was asking, oh, what are you up here? And I said, oh, my family, my father and father-in-law and husband are from here, and I'm up here with my children all the time. Oh, you've got children? What children? At the time I had, my eldest was 4, and my youngest was 2. And there was a female producer and a male director. And I said, yeah, she said, the producer asked, oh, you know, what age are your kids? You know, in a kind of a chit-chat way. And I said 4 and 2. And the producer, female producer, looked at the male director and said, very young children. And it was clear from the way she said it that I was not going to get this gig, because they weren't going to take a chance on somebody with small children who might bail or who might be unreliable. And I didn't get the job, obviously. And it's, you know what, you cannot ask anybody in an interview, job interview, it's illegal to actually ask them about their children. But the amount of times I've been in casting situations where casting directors have, in the course of conversation, said, oh, how are the kids and what age are they now? It's not okay, because you would not ask a man that question. So the fact of the matter is, it's possible to have moms on stage. It's important to have moms on stage. It's important for moms to see themselves on stage, to see themselves, to hear their voices, to hear their experiences. It's important for women to be on the stage, and not just male understanding of mothers on the stage. There's plenty of Irish mammies in Irish theatre. Good God, we're awash with them. But there's very few Irish mammies written from the perspective of an Irish mammy. So that needs to change too. So my shout out this morning is to my incredible cast, to Kat Barter, to Marina Hampton, Nandi Jola, Anesu Mtoa, I don't know how to pronounce your name properly, to Michelle Young, Brenda Winter, Ellen Ann Schultz. Hi, Ellen. Who am I missing? Emma McArlean, to who have I missed? Ellen, help me out. Have I missed anybody? To Joe Egan, our director. And I have to also give a shout out to the 2 young Queen students who acted as our stage manager and as our lighting design, David Willis and Stephen McVicker. Holy cow, those lads. Oh, Vicky Blades, you're in there as well. The boys were fantastic. I mean, they just didn't bat an eyelid with 12 of us cackling like old crones, talking about talking about vaginas left, right, and centre. They were awesome. They were so professional, so on the ball, and we really couldn't have done it without them. So we packed out the house. I haven't yet been given the box office, but 90% of the proceeds will go to Women's Aid Federation in Belfast. 10% will go to the Spotlight campaign in America, and I am so honoured to have had the opportunity to do this. There is talk of another production, so if you want to hear about that, you need to sign up to my newsletter. If you go to strutandbellow.com, there'll be a pop-up. You can subscribe to the newsletter, and you will get first information when it comes out next week about another production and where that is and what's happening with it. Next week, I won't be live because I am going to a conference. I'm meeting a Canadian writer that I have really enjoyed reading and watching over the last number of years. A woman called Sarah Bessey. She's from Vancouver in Canada, and she's a writer. She wrote 2 books, Jesus Feminist and Out of Sorts, and she's a really amazing prophetic voice, I think, within the Christian milieu. So I'm going to get to meet her next Friday morning, which is really exciting. She's coming over to speak at a conference, and I'm going to get to meet her, which is awesome. So in the meantime, I may not be live, but I am going to be interviewing a fabulous actress, and I'll tell you more about that next week. But I will be interviewing her next week, and I will be posting that interview at 11 o'clock next Friday. So although I won't be live, you can check out my interview, and I will be announcing who it is on Monday. So you can check out that next Friday at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, please continue to pop into the website, strutandbellow.com. Follow me here on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, Strut and Bellow. I'm actually taking part in the March Meet the Makers Challenge that Joanna Harker has set up. So there's daily prompts, and I'm going to be taking part in that on Instagram. So check, you'll see me doing different things on that. Anything else coming up? Yes, my camera confidence. I'm offering my services as a coach for artists and makers who want to feel more confident doing these kind of things like Facebook Live and Instagram stories, because a lot of people, you know, you're working away, you're really putting a lot of energy into work. Now you're getting to the stage of you're needing to get it out there in the world, but the idea of doing something like this scares the crap out of you. So if that's you, I'm available for one-to-one consultations and also group workshops. And you can get in touch with me by the website as well, or on email at strutandbellow@gmail.com. I will be offering a little freebie in the next couple of weeks. I'm sort of developing that. So keep your eyes peeled for that too. But in the meantime, thank you to everybody who came to the Vagina Monologues at the Lyric last Sunday night. It was really will go down as one of the highlights of my entire career and of my life, I think, really. Thank you to the amazing cast and crew. Thank you to the Lyric for putting us up and looking after us, and congratulations for all your awards at the Irish Times Theatre Awards down in Dublin that night. That was super. It's nice to keep the place warm for you to come back to. Take care in the snow. Keep strutting and bellowing. And I will talk to you really soon. Bye-bye.